За сайн бацгаана уу? Өглөө өнөөдөр Cambridge 14-ийн тест 1-ийн reading passage 2-ыг уншийе. За, the growth of bike sharing schemes around the world. How Dutch engineer Lutz Schimmelplanning helped to devise urban bike sharing schemes. The original idea for an urban bike sharing scheme dates back to a summer's day in Amsterdam in 1965. Provo, the organization that came up with the idea, was a group of Dutch activists who wanted to change society. They believed the scheme, which was known as the Witt-Witsen-Plan, was an answer to the perceived threats of air pollution and consumerism. In the center of Amsterdam, they painted a small number of used bikes white. They also distributed leaflets describing the dangers of cars and inviting people to use the white bikes. The bikes were then left unlocked at various locations around the city to be used by anyone in need of transport. Lutz Schimmelplanning, a Dutch industrial engineer who still lives and cycles in Amsterdam, was heavily involved in the original scheme. He recalls how the scheme succeeded in attracting a great deal of attention, particularly when it came to publicizing Provo's aims, but struggled to get off the ground. The police were opposed to Provo's initiatives, and almost as soon as the white bikes were distributed around the city, they removed them. However, for Schimmelplanning and for bike sharing schemes in general, this was just the beginning. The first Witt-Witsen-Plan was just a symbolic thing, he says. We painted a few bikes white. That was all. Things got more serious when I became a member of the Amsterdam City Council 2 years later. Schimmelplanning seized this opportunity to present a more elaborate Witt-Witsen-Plan to the City Council. My idea was that the municipality of Amsterdam would distribute 10,000 white bikes over the city for everyone to use, he explains. I made serious calculations. It turned out that a white bicycle per person per kilometer would cost the municipality only 10% of what it contributed to public transport per person per kilometer. Nevertheless, the council unanimously rejected the plan. They said that the bicycle belongs to the past. They saw a glorious future for the car, says Schimmelplanning. But he was not in the least discouraged. Schimmelplanning never stopped believing in bike sharing, and in the mid-90s, 2 Danes asked for his help to set up a system in Copenhagen. The result was the world's first large-scale bike share program. It worked on a deposit. You dropped a coin in the bike, and when you returned it, you got your money back. After setting up the Danish system, Schimmelplanning decided to try his luck again in the Netherlands. And this time, he succeeded in arousing the interest of the Dutch Ministry of Transport. Times had changed, he recalls. People had become more environmentally conscious, and the Danish experiment had proved that bike sharing was a real possibility. A new Witt-Witsen-Plan was launched in 1999 in Amsterdam. However, riding a white bike was no longer free. It cost 1 guilder per trip, and payment was made with a chip card developed by the Dutch bank Postbank. Schimmerplanning designed conspicuous, sturdy white bikes locked in special racks which could be opened with the chip card. The plan started with 250 bikes distributed over 5 stations. Theo Molinar, who was a system designer for the project, worked alongside Schimmerplanning. I remember when we were testing the bike racks, he announced, that he had already designed better ones. But of course, we had to go through with the ones we had. The system, however, was prone to vandalism and theft. After every weekend, there would always be a couple of bikes missing, Molinar says. I really have no idea what people did with them because they could instantly be recognized as white bikes. But the biggest blow came when Postbank decided to abolish the chip card because it wasn't profitable. That chip card was pivotal to the system, Molinar says. To continue the project, we would have needed to set up another system, but the business partner had lost interest. Schimmerplanning was disappointed, but characteristically not for long. In 2002, he got a call from the French advertising corporation J.C. Decaux, who wanted to set up his bike sharing scheme in Vienna. That went really well. After Vienna, they set up a system in Lyon. Then, in 2007, Paris followed. That was a decisive moment in the history of bike sharing. The huge and unexpected success of the Parisian bike sharing program, which now boasts more than 20,000 bicycles, inspired cities all over the world to set up their own schemes, all modeled on Schimmerplanning's. It's wonderful that this happened, he says, but financially, I didn't really benefit from it because I never filed for a patent. In Amsterdam today, 38% of all trips are made by bike, and along with Copenhagen, it is regarded as one of the 2 most cycle-friendly capitals in the world. But the city never got another Fietsenplan. Molinar believes this may be because everybody in Amsterdam already has a bike. Schimmerplanning, however, cannot see that this changes Amsterdam's need for a bike-sharing scheme. People who travel on the underground don't carry their bikes around, but often they need additional transport to reach their final destination. Although he thinks it is strange that a city like Amsterdam doesn't have a successful bike-sharing scheme, he is optimistic about the future. In the 60s, we didn't stand a chance because people were prepared to give their lives to keep cars in the city. But that mentality has totally changed. Today, everybody longs for cities that are not dominated by cars. За баярлалаа. Дараагийн 3 удаа сонсоод тэгээд хамт уншаарай.